Yeah, when you look at me, I'm 74 years of age, you know what I mean? So I used to, like, you're on about me when I used to go down to Beckett. You know, Roy Shaw was a little bit older than me, 3 years older than me. And I used to get in the spar with Roy Shaw. Good fighter, hard fighter. You know, and didn't have much of a punch, but it was an hard man, you know what I mean? And I was getting there, do 4 or 5 rounds of him. He used to bash me up when I first went there. 2 rounds was enough for me, you know what I mean? It hurt me around the belly, you know what I mean? So that'd be enough for me, yeah? But after a while, I come back, didn't it? You know, I was to spar. I was done to I've had a couple of hours with Joe Bugner, Billy Head. I was to spar quite regular down Haverstock Hill, Noble Art, you know what I mean? That was a ball control gym. I was always down there. Bobby Neal was mad on me. Bobby Neal wanted me to turn pro. You know, Bobby was okay with me, yeah? He had Pat McCann, Bobby Neal. Anyway, and when the Rainbow, I've had a couple of fights at the Rainbow. The first fight with Brian Hall, you know, jumped out of the ring, Lenny was there, all in black, you know, and Lenny sort of like really took the mickey out of me, saying that he'd have stopped him, I should have done this and shot that. But I was to spar with Lenny down the ring with Vic Andretti, you know what I mean? And like, come on, Lenny weren't that. I mean, Vic Andretti was a good little fighter, Vic Andretti, you know what I mean? And Vic liked me. Vic Andretti liked me, mate. I should have went with Vic Andretti. I should have went with Vic Andretti and Warren, Frankie Warren, but I didn't. I stuck with Jimmy because I was quite solid like that, you know what I mean? But we was all after I was a spar, but he was always trying to get a fight with Lenny. You know, always, you know, and I wanted it with Lenny bad. I really wanted it with Lenny McLean bad. Listen, Lenny's dead, mate, you know what I mean? But Lenny couldn't fight in the ring. He wasn't that good a fighter. You know, out on the pavement, I've not seen him on the pavement. I've heard a lot of stories, but I've never seen him fight. You know, he might have been a right handful on the pavement, I don't know. But Mickey Field don't lie, you know what I mean? Mickey Field don't lie. And I believe what Mickey Field says, that he was a good fighter. And that's enough for me, you know what I mean? But yeah, I used to fight. I used to have quite a few fights, you know what I mean? But I never used to back down. Never ever back down, mate. From any fight in the ring, I never ever back down. I'd always fight, you know what I mean? Don't matter who it was, I wasn't bothered, you know? And like when I was down Haverstock Hill and sparring with Billy Head and all that was as a kid, I was only young, you know what I mean? 16, 17, young mate. Sparring with Billy Head is going some, you know what I mean? Only kids, maybe even younger than that. Me and the guys called Farrell McHugh. I used to spar down there all the time. Well, come on, fucking hell, man. We're young kids, want to be pros, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, I go down to Wellington Highgate with Georgie Francis and Duffy and all that lot, and they wanted me to turn pro. You know, they wanted to turn pro. I've been in some good. I was getting in the ring and have good scraps with people down there, mate, and hold my own. You know, they love me. I'm wanting me to turn pro. I'm much all up for myself, you know. I was a fool. When they come to meet me, I was out gallivanting with big birds, as you do. The testosterone, it's what happens, isn't it? You know what I mean? But anyway, I threw my life away there. But I'm telling you something, mate, the unlicensed fighting was a good game. And I fought anybody down in the unlicensed game. I wasn't bothered about who it was. You know, there's certain people I never got to fight. Lou Yates, I never got to fight. I moved around with Cliff Fields a few times in the ring, you know what I mean? And had some good times with Cliffs. You know, but come on, I tried my hardest. Listen, you can only try your hardest to fight someone. And Jimmy Tibbett tried really hard for me to get the fight Lenny McLean. We had 2 posters, big posters come out. Twice he's let me down, you know what I mean? Listen, I wasn't saying Lenny was no coward, because he wasn't no coward, he was a big man. But the time me and Lenny were going to fight, Lenny was about 16 and a half, 17 stone. I was about 18 and a half stone, you know what I mean? But when I come out of prison, I was ripped about 19, 20 stone. And then I started doing a lot of running and all that, and a lot of shadow boxing, a lot of bag work, and I ripped myself down about, what I reckon about 18 and a half, 18 3/4 stones, you know. And Lenny was about, I don't know, Lenny looked, to me, he looked about, I don't know, 17, 18 stone. A lot of people said Lenny was really powerful down the gym. Perhaps he was. He wasn't as powerful as me, I can assure you of that. No way. I was really, really powerful, you know what I mean? And I was a lot more powerful. I don't like people telling me about weights. He was picking up them weights. I was curling with me, he was benching, I was curling that sort of weight he was benching with. But, you know, but beside the point, you know, me personally, I think that I could have beat Lenny McLean. You know, you tell me how you reckon it had gone between me and Lenny. What about me and Paul Sykes? Paul Sykes was a good pro, mate. Do you know what I mean? Paul Sykes was a fit, strong man. If Paul Sykes had been a little bit fitter with John O'Gardner, I think he'd have gone the distance, there'd be the points. But John O'Gardner, when I was going down Aberstock Hill and Aberlock, John O'Gardner was fit, mate. He was so fit and he was so determined, you know what I mean? He never stopped. The very hard thing was John O'Gardner. He was just coming in all the time, throwing punches, bombing all the time, throwing punches. I like John. I liked him, and he was always fit. He'd come down there, Highgate, and he'd go out for a run, and he'd come back like 2 hours later. You know what I mean? And all around Highgate, all around there is all hills, you know, and he'd run, mate. He was a good runner all around Hampstead Heath, all he's mustard, mate. Yeah, I like John a lot, you know. But, you know, I mean, was he Young Duffy? Look at Young Duffy. Who do you think would win between me and Duffy? Personally, I think I would win, you know what I mean? Because I ain't going to give up. You know, personally, with Paul Sykes, I don't know. Personally, he might have been a bit too good for me, Paul, I don't know. If I hit him on the chin, he'd go, you know what I mean? He's very strong, Paul. Good squatter, big legs, big shoulders. But if I hit him on the chin, he's going to go, you know what I mean? He will go over, yeah? I didn't see a lot of Paul Sykes going over. He was very strong, but I could bang, yeah? Lenny, mate, when I was sparring him down the ring, nah, I didn't fancy him. You were wearing 16-ounce gloves, you know, and I hurt Lenny a lot. I'm not taking away from Lenny. I'm not taking away from him, but he hurt me a lot too. But I can assure you my punches were a lot more crisp and hurtful than his was, yeah? And he hurt me, but he hurt me. Of course he hurt me. He's a heavyweight, isn't he? You know what I mean? But he didn't hurt me enough to knock me on the floor or knock me over, you know? A couple of times I put him on his pedestal, but I didn't want to finish it, you know what I mean? I just left it like that, yeah? Because we was trying our hardest to get a fight. But when you got people like Vic Andretti, who's a good judge of people, Vic Andretti, he knew, that's why I never got to fight Lenny. He knew, mate. He knew that I was that little bit better than Lenny. He knew that, you know. Not so much Frankie Warren. Frankie Warren never really come down there. He was always doing his own thing. Frankie Warren, mate's a white gangster. His family, Frankie Warren's family's a white gangster, mate. He ain't. People think he's a nobody, Frank, but believe me, he's a proper person, you know what I mean? He's a proper gangster, get Frank Warren. His family, his uncles, all that little firm where they come from is all around there. They're proper bad people, you know what I mean? They're not like, you know, because he is what he is, the way he is. He can march on, Frank Warren. He ain't no fool, and he's quite dangerous, you know what I mean? He's quite, anyway, bang, bang, roll, nice one.